was her degree of that she had been loved. Wow. Love! He's more myself than I am. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. If the universe were annihilated, and he remained alive, to still continue to be. And if he were annihilated, the universe would turn to a mighty stranger. Romance! Achilles, that we should all agree to die, so that he and Patroclus conquer Troy alone. Gay! I'm not organizing this one. And I lie to her, say I'm doing fine, when really, I kill myself to hold you one more time. Fuck. Love is just so beautiful, guys. You know, love. That's all I really care about. God will Eros, and I bet your asshole tastes like strawberries. Anyway, that was me. I don't know what that was about. Not low anyway. Sally really, I've always heard great things about Sally, so let's see here. I have an extract. Laying her down on the bed gently, he kissed her and whispered in his ear with a thick tactical kiss. Ah, you're such a perfect cunt. That doesn't seem right either.
Kissing me so suddenly. I didn't take you for a horny little slut. But I guess that's just as fine since you're my horny little slut. Isn't that right? Now that you're psychotic like me, we're going to enjoy our little depravity.
Do you not fuck anymore like this? Clearly something's gone wrong. There is no more love. So I'm going to reconvene. I'm going to fuck off from there for a second. I'm going to do some research, figure out what's going on, and I'll circle back to you. How does that sound? Anyway, you're probably full joke, I'm not the call wolf right now, because it's just like a big little announcement for everyone. I was told by our SMC David, I am gay. So like, well, you're going to hear this, I'm gay, so I can say it, okay? Favorite baby? I'm thinking about us a lot lately, you know? Me and you. Who are we going? We listen to a lot of love songs. And that's why I wrote one for you. This is a ballad written just for you. Honey, when I look into your eyes, I feel like a poet. My heart beats fast because I need to show it. Just go with it. I love you like religion loves a prophet. And I'll worship you like a dildo in a condom. Because babe, I'm like Jesus. I'm a religious experience. Come finger my hole and make me delirious. Like we're just come finger my hole and make me delirious. And if you're lucky, in a few hours, I'll go down on you, like the second plane to hit the towers. Like the Red Sea, it'll be biblical. My dick's the body of Christ, coming paracetamol. An anesthetic dick that's easy to swallow. A little debt and a second coming to follow. I want to see Victor. I've been reading a lot lately. I read, one is not born, but rather becomes a woman. That was said, of course, by the revolutionary feminist Simon Bouvet. He was a great guy. Because me, I'm a feminist. You can't handle this and I want to free the nick. Come sit on my tit. I'll liberate your clit. Don't want to blow it out of proportion. I'm so pro-choice I'd make even the most conservative woman want an abortion. Girl, you can fuck around me. Who cares? As long as it smells like hibiscus and pears. Because I'm throwing dust like a discus in your hyacinthus. Even if you're modest and Protestant, you make my body shudder. Call me Athenian and get 50 shades of orange on my tricolor. I don't want to show my thesaurus. This is my love song to hook you for the chorus. Will you give me consent if I speak with a regional accent? Because you're quite fit like. I'll be the Romeo to your Juliet. The final cliche to the chorus is the word cigarette. Now here it is. I don't want to seem like I'm pigeonholing you. I don't care what hole you want to fill. As long as you fill that hole with love. I love the gays and the days. But I hope you understand that I must remain sexually ambiguous for mass market appeal. Which isn't ideal if your crush is Shaquille O'Neal. So it's a good thing you're a people person, a person, a people-pleasing person, a person personified as a people-pleasing person. Well, you know, if my love is blind, then yours is able-bodied. I'm not queer, I'm just disembodied. I'm also deep in the structure that are growing bowling. He gives me a semi to rearrange his colon. Because you can bowl a fag and smoke a fag in the back of the Baggett Street, and I want to jump your bones because of me got my hormones because of hormones. And I don't want to abuse my thesaurus, this is my love song to hook you for the chorus. Will you give me consent if I say your name in a gender-neutral accent? Charlie! Yeah. Wow. That's for the Fontaines fans. Read Romeo to your Juliet. The final cliche to the chorus is the word cigarette. You have to say that next time, please. I'll get away with murder because I've got away with words. God, we'll go a little bit further. You can call me Arrow or Psyche. Call me by your name or Cupid and Aphrodite. You deify me just to define me. Concerned about your expectations of what you want me to be, that you forgot the face of true love's beauty. Now if I'm near you, you can feel your heart flutter. You care not your stepbrother. So I want to be your significant other, an intellectual lover, and I'll come on your back if you just bend over. Now, if you feel me, put your hands up. I said, if you feel me, put your hands up. Good girl. Now, I don't want to abuse my thesaurus. This is my love song to hook you for the chorus. Will you give me consent if I talk about you in a regional accent? You're one over there. Anyway. Here we can do the whoop, whoop. I'll be the Romeo to your Juliet. The final cliche of the chorus is a cigarette. And now, if this is a music video right now, I'll probably be some industry subliminal fascist imagery that will later tarnish my career to the future generations. But babe, I know I'm not ethereal. This is going on a while, I know. I know I'm not ethereal. I got a lot of baggage, and all of it's venereal. What I feel is real. But when I rail you, I'm not rail yet. Your cost package is real. But babe, laugh at that. But babe, when I see you, I want to explode with diarrhea. Because you're one in a million. With this bomb we're building, my feelings can't stay hidden. Don't make me your villain. I love you like Jimmy Savile loves to fuck. Ian, fix it. Fuck, it's falling apart. I love you like you love your parents' values, like you know you say yourself. My parents always used to vote for Fine Gael, so I have to fill their shoes, but you're not also fucking hard, you do that too. So sorry, oh fuck, shit, wait, fuck, I messed up. No! This is a pre-planned bit. You're deluded by love. You have no free will! I mean, if I'm gonna love you, you should run away. Love's no distance. If I'm gonna love you, run away. Love's an illusion, but I'm gonna love you anyway. You can't know love, and I'm gonna love you every day. If I'm gonna love you, you should run away. You've never seen my face, get your haunted by the letters of my name. If I'm gonna love you, you should run away. You love the idea of love, but you don't want to. Can't you see that this world is held together by the love and passion of a very few people, and you don't even want to be seen? I'm sorry that I don't put out, and I'm sorry that I don't call, and I'm sorry that I hurt you, and I'm sorry that I'm calm, and I'm sorry that you have felt my love. Because if you're going to love me, I don't want to run away. And I don't want to love you anymore. I just want to understand you, and I want to see you. I want to love you, and I want to fucking hate you, and forgive you. And I don't want to love you all the time, I never could. And all I want is to blur the line between you. Because if I'm going to love you, you should run away. How can I love you? And I can't even love myself, but I want to love you anyway. Do.
Everyone, welcome to the University Philosophical Society. The motion that stands before the House tonight is this House will destroy all human rights. Standing orders are as follows. Speeches are a maximum of 7 minutes for student speakers and 10 minutes for guests. After the first minute and before the last minute, which will be seconded by a bell, speakers from opposing sides and audience members are free to offer points of information. We encourage general audience participation during our groups. If you hear something you like, you can shout here or slay. If you hear something you don't like, you can shout shake. Prioritize respect during our debates, and as a result, if you have any concerns about what I said tonight, or senior member of council David Kelly, we run the reception all evening. This is contactable via email at smc@tcdphil.com. Alternatively, I am contactable via president@tcdphil.com. Without further ado, I will introduce the speakers for tonight's debate. Speaking proposition, we have Charlie Hastings, final year English student, James Ryan, law soft auditor, and Cass my honorary student of the 340 section of the University Philosophical Society. Hear, hear. Final year Law student and careers officer of the Law Society, and finally Sharon Gafka, blog activist and political commentator. Hear, hear. I now invite Charlie to open for side proposition and debate as a whole. Hear, hear.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to tell you a story. Once, when I was 16 years old, I lied about my age and used a fake ID to create a Tinder profile. I was meant to meet up with a girl visiting from California at a fountain in the center of town. I arrived fashionably late and watched for an extra 15 minutes for her, since she was clearly far more fashionable than I. Eventually, after I texted asking where she was, she replied with a voice note that went something like this. I saw you from across the way, and you're actually totally ugly, question mark? So bye, I guess? Obviously I was upset about this, so I got up and took a lap through a nearby farmer's market, where I bought an extra large ice cold lemonade to cool me off. When I returned to the fountain, however, all of a sudden, there she was. I didn't know what to do at first, but I eventually decided to nut up, pull up my big boy pants, and confront her. This did not go well. What do you want? I told her who I was, and that what she did kind of low-key made me kind of hurt my feelings. She then proceeded to laugh in my face, so I got embarrassed and left. I went to go see a friend who lived nearby, and after he had also finished laughing in my face when I told him what happened, he told me to get in his car. We drove towards the fountain, and as we approached, he motioned for me to give him my lemonade, which I did. As we passed her standing near the fountain, he rolled down his window, shouted several things I will not repeat here, and threw the lemonade right in her face. It was a perfect shot, and she got completely soaked. With the Tinder girl shouting angrily at us as we drove away, I opened my phone and deleted Tinder, and have not re-downloaded it again since. Here's another story. Once upon a merry year, after watching one too many fun fact reels on Instagram, I made some very interesting connections, and shared them eagerly with every girl I came across on dating apps. In this case, I had learned that the human anus, also known as the butthole, can stretch up to 7 inches in diameter without being ruptured. Stay with me. I had also learned that a raccoon can fit their entire body into a hole just 3.5 inches. I ran some quick math and shared it with several women on Hinge, all of whom blocked me. Evidently, they thought it was some creepy collection of rodents up their ass. And to think, after all that mess, I met my girlfriend IRL, live and in person, outside the Matrix, at a Halloween party of all places. She was dressed in a pirate fit, and before you know it, I was plundering that booth. Obviously, this is a joke. Shout out Laura, I love you, queen. For real though, my girl gotta be into zoophilia the way she loves her cut. And when I say goat, I mean me, not LeBron James. Anyway, considering my success without dating apps, and for the heinous and absurd things that happen to me while using them, it's safe to say that Tinder and other dating apps have not served me well. And I would go as far as to say that all dating apps do nothing but create problems for everyone. For example, I heard recently that Sprout will be giving out free salad bowls on Valentine's Day to those who could prove they're single. How will they prove this, you ask? Simple, just download Hinge. Because no person in a relationship has ever done that before. I sincerely look forward to walking down Boston Street tomorrow and hearing conversations that go something like this. Babe, you don't understand. I only got to get us some free salad bowls. I was really hungry and spent all my money on a subscription to Andrew Tate's Hustlers University. I recently saw how someone argued against the uses of dating apps from an evolutionary standpoint. See, man was not built to see this many hot people. Back in the day, when one's main concern was surviving the next harsh winter and hopefully saving enough money to buy a ticket to the next public execution, average people would only see like 10 to 15 baddies in their whole life. Now that the gig economy has weaseled its way into dating, situationships are all too common, and people seemingly in happy relationships are constantly looking for something better. You would think that this would be a temporary measure, however, and that people would learn their lesson after getting their hopes up for a real relationship for the 17 billionth time, only to have these hopes dashed by someone who still thinks Elon Musk is the real-life Tony Stark. But if this seems like it's too much to ask, if you ask me, situationships are like haircuts. You go in expecting big things to happen, and you leave with your entire head fucked up for the next few months. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience. For example, there was this one time I was talking to a girl, and she told me I have, quote, small dick energy. And so I was like, first of all, you don't even have one? Hello? And second of all, goodbye. Anyway, I found out later that she started dating a guy from PPS, so I guess that's natural. Other times, it goes almost too well, even suspiciously so. This often happens with guys in particular. The girl's feeling you, talking about how much she loves your bench pressing videos, the various photos of your mediocre-sized fish that you caught, and the one boomerang reel of you and the lads motorboating the Molly Malone statue on a night out. And now she's asking if you can give her a ride in the tractor that you're pictured in on your profile. That does it. She's planning something. This is definitely a trap. But what if it isn't? You've got to find out for yourself. You go on a date. She's touchy. She laughs at everything you say. She even pays for the drinks, which tastes a little funny, by the way. And of course, the next thing you know, you're waking up in an ice bath with a huge scar where your kidney used to be. As we clearly see, dating apps suck whichever way you swing. So how can we utilize the infinite power of the internet to connect with valid shawties in the vicinity while also avoiding the maelstrom of dating apps? Simple. The first option is to do it like I used to. Connect with the hot MILFs in your area. The ones that are for some reason only advertised on porn websites. But I digress. The last time I did this, I also won a free iPhone. And all they wanted was a picture of my birth certificate. This was an extremely reasonable arrangement. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to find love on a dating app. Some of my oldest friends have found I'm not saying that. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that dating apps are just not worth the trouble, and we would do right to get rid of all of them immediately. When one gets caught in the fast-paced brain rot that is modern hookup culture, they end up forgetting who they are as people and consequently losing their dignity along the way. Despite the fact that maybe you'll have a slim chance of finding someone to spend your life with, or maybe just a good chat. But that prospect isn't worth all this strife. It's like when I opt for the 6 a.m. flight to save €10 and I end up paying 30 for the taxi. We need to put ourselves first, even if that involves some hard decisions for the sake of one's discipline. People need to remember that life is about the little things and the little moments. Watching the latest LeBron highlights with your lads over a few years. Cracking open an ice cold white monster at 7 a.m. And celebrating silently while listening to her describe the absolutely huge spider that is actually only 2 inches long. Believe me when I tell you, there have been plenty of times where I have seen even the most evil men who would commit war crimes and violate the Geneva Convention every other day, suddenly wearing matching pajamas with some girl on Instagram. One second. There is hope for people like that and people like me, and you know there's hope for you too. So you don't need a dating app to tell you that, especially because they're probably selling your personal data off the highest bidder anyway. So ditch the Hello Kitty girls, the men in finance, the golf travel wives that TikTok has tricked you into thinking exist. Live for yourself and you will attract what's meant for you. After all, maybe you're not an overthinker who fumbles everyone who comes their way. Maybe you're just a fucking genius who intimidates the hubs. So next 2025 you're here because we are just 7 underwear changes from 2026.
Tonight, on Love Island, another bombshell done with 3 days now before she searches for a Valentine. Sorry about the lack of underwear, or should I say bikinis? Not sure. It's a bit chilly tonight. So, at the start of the semester, I downloaded Hinge again. 3rd time's the charm, or so I thought. I was in fact very wrong. After about a week, one of the guys I was interested in ghosted me when I asked if he'd like to go for coffee. A couple of days later, he was resurrected, and I received this lovely message. I'll skip it, I have the transcript. Too honest, too good, too genuine for this. And they rejected me! Yeah. So, you may wonder why I'm telling you all this when I'm representing opposition. To be frank, dating apps have made me much more comfortable in dating. Every time I've been on Hinge, I've received extravagant yet kind compliments from total strangers. I've also learned how to say no in a polite manner. I've even learned to be my authentic self while dating. While the apps might not be the way to find true love, banning them will leave us with no safe way to say insane things to strangers and experience no shame. So, I'd like to preface this point by saying I do not crave male validation. I just put it up there with the need for food. So, my time on Hinge gave me an ego not even Trump could compete with. Every day, boys are saying lovely things in an attempt to match with me, and there is no pressure for me to entertain them. I can simply press X, feel the compliment, and move on. Now, I'm going to share some Hinge highlights. One guy said he loved me after I told him I adore Conmara. A guy who looks like Zach Bryan sent me a rose. And just, all this validation right at my fingertips at any time of the day. One guy even told me at 8:30 a.m. that he wanted to pin me up against his wall. I didn't even have to do that much. A couple nice pictures, a kind of funny profile, and the men came running to me. Hell, even the 6'4" and above guys came to me. I'm not naive though, I know they were probably doing it to every girl in the app. Cherishing compliments I didn't beg for isn't a crime, is it? Dating apps are also great for males to receive validation too. Lads, think about how brilliant you feel when after days of sending likes and getting nothing back, you've received one of women. Maybe do more than a sea swim on a Sunday. Maybe put an end to your insecurity about your height. I know you're not 6 foot. So that was just an idea. So, the beauty of dating apps is that saying no has zero repercussions. As it should. When I reject someone on an app, I don't have to worry about how to phrase it or how they'll respond. I can simply just unmatch them. As a result of this, I actually feel more confident saying no to men in real life. I can set firm boundaries. I can be polite while also getting my message across. I wouldn't be able to say that about myself if not from my experience on dating apps. Now, not only have I become more confident with setting boundaries, but I dare say my approach to dating has had a total makeover. Only a couple of years ago, I would agonize over every word I said to a boy. I had such a bad learning disability that every time I liked a guy, I would figure out his class schedule and readjust my route just to walk past him. When talking with boys, I would downplay my personality and have zero opinions, which is insane because I'm talking at myself right now. So I barely cracked any jokes, bit bland. All I cared about was pleasing the guy. And there was one time when I was 18 and the guy I'd been dating, he wanted to break up with me. I knew it. He asked me if I was going to make a coffee for him. And he never did that. And since I knew this was coming, I went and I cried to my mom about it. And she goes, Ashley, do you even want to be his girlfriend? Because, I'm in hysterics. And in tears, I said, no, I just don't want him to break up with me. And look. Anywho, dating apps and the dating vibe between me and the guy has been absolutely life-changing for my mentality. I'm going to skip along. So basically, on my Hinge profile, because I'm an English student, I'll tell them, ask me about my current read. Then I list 6 books when they actually do, because I'm trying to scare them off. But there's this one time, the guy had actually read some of them, and he was kind of really smart. And we had a great conversation about Roman emperors. I know nothing about Roman emperors. And it was great. We had fun. It was lighthearted. And as a result, I could have made a new friend. But I didn't. So this evening, the proposition are going to repeat the same claims people have made about dating apps for years. Their speeches will only reinforce old ideas. But this is the fill. I encourage you all to pay attention to the opposition. Think about it. If dating apps are banned, a guaranteed source of validation will be stripped from you. And you'll be forced to grind in the library like never before. What will you do when you can't sit at home in your PJs with your face mask on and get to know a new match in your bed? People who are nervous about dating flourish on the apps. Are you really okay with taking the apps away from members of the Phil? From me? I still need a Valentine, Thank you.
I'd like to thank Ashley for that very first speech and all of James to continue the case for side proposition. Here, here.
Alright, good evening everyone. People in relationships, situationships, delusionships, Sex and the City style Mr. Big unrequited romances, Marianne and Cuddle, are they in love? No, actually worse ships. My name is James Ryan, and I, on behalf of the Law Society, perhaps the least erotic society in this university, I'll be proposing the motion this House would destroy all dating apps. And I do this for a variety of reasons, which I shall likely touch on, most like some of my Hinge dates. But making a number of little jokes along the way. Why don't we begin with my own profile? To preface, I thankfully have escaped this Hinge dimension into a happy relationship, but prior to this, I was wandering the endless serotonin abyss of dating apps, and my profile was a carefully crafted masterpiece of just utter pick-me bullshit. So it went a little something like this. A few film camera photos to indicate either A, I own the film camera, or B, I had cool friends who smoked rollies, did ket, and took them for me. The answer, of course, being the latter. Alongside this, there was a photo of me in the GMB, actually. That was very important. It showed I was still a virgin. The real pièce de word vomit about Roman history and vaguely niche indie rock. And so these guardrails are kind of welcome addition for me, and they were as follows. My greatest strength: if this is wrong, I don't want to be right, and my weird talent. The canvas upon which I would paint my masterpiece. And paint I did. My greatest strength, you may ask. The New York Times mini crossword. In flooded hordes of English studying bisexuals. Telling me their best times. I was 1 for 1. If this isn't wrong, I don't want to be right. Stay with me now. Insider trading. Now, this did result in people asking me what it was. One person did ask me, quote, "This is illegal and immoral. Hope this helps." We unmatched shortly afterwards. Yeah, it was still 50-50, all right, but I was doing okay. My worst prompt, though, was yet to come: my weird talent. And actually, this story brings me to Poland, weirdly enough. I was there in the summer. And my friend and I, Ian, we struck up conversation with a kind German man. He was kind, until he referred to the city of Gdansk as Danzig, and then we kind of got a bit more scared. But we were really kind. While utterly hammered, I felt that we had kind of gotten close enough in our relationship that I was able to unleash my Yoshi impression from the Super Mario Bros. Franchise. In response, he went, "Wow, that was very accurate." And the neurons in my little brain fired, alright? Okay, like what a weird talent I have. The home is gonna love this. So, at it I did. The matches rolled in. Once a week. Sorry. My problem was this. I simply couldn't even do the thing anymore. I was drunk at the time, and my vocal cords deserted me. I was only able to let out like a plaintive, like, the problem is this, right? People I knew from college were matching me, asking me to do it. They were like shooting bullets at my feet, hoping I would dance. That's not me, okay? And so needless to say, I was never seen on Hinge ever again. Now, contrary to popular belief, many sentient, breathing, supposedly intelligent beings do use these dating apps. To get a true picture of the hellscape out there, I did have to canvass some friends for some more information. I was sent some screenshots of hinge lines from numerous men trying to seduce one of my friends. A few highlights include just the word malahide on its own. He could tell this didn't work, so a few hours later, he supplemented it with the term, "I love a girl with a bit of money." So, fair enough to him. Another message reads, "You remind me of Audrey from the Lorax." In fairness, guys, tip here, great message if she loves Taylor Swift. She did voice Audrey in that movie, by the way. My favorite, though, was a massive long message about whether or not she would get the ick if they went to a restaurant together. He like dropped his fork. And then he replied to that, having received no answer, of course, with, and I quote, "I love you, sorry, I meant I love you, I mean love." So Hinge to me is a great reminder that just because we can does not mean that we should, okay? It's a gross example of what some people do with the free will with which we've been so generously bestowed by our Creator. And it isn't just straight people who are struggling either. A gay colleague of mine showed a few of us at work his Grindr messages and asked for opinions on some people. I thought Hinge was bad. Grindr was perhaps the most insane thing I have ever seen. There are no names, there are no pictures, there's just one guy called Hung, 50, married. Holy shit. No photographs are shared, no cute anecdotes about Yoshi impressions so vulnerably presented to the public. My coworker just got a message that said, "Can I worship your feet, please?" At least he was one of the ones asking politely. Often, he would show somebody actually and be like, "He is so hot," only for a 40-year-old guy called Raymond, loosely resembling a maths teacher who's staring back at me. But it is truly brutal out there. And the crux of my point is this. We all make these accounts, we put up our sexy photos, we fill out our pick-me prompts, guilty. And what does that get us? You know, validation, serotonin, a more sinister third thing. I've been told that's sex. I do not know myself. The validation is empty, okay? Having 100 people who sort of like you but not enough to really do anything about it is worthless. Just knowing there's probably, 1 million people who could probably spare me €1 does not make me a millionaire. Having 300 dormant Hinge matches does not make me a sexual hot commodity. Ironically, the best way to meet somebody remains undefeated. Committee says, sorry, I mean the real world. The vast majority of relationships in my life have begun through mutual friends, shots at coppers, or arranged through distant family members. My teens were tough. Not through infernal maelstrom of ones and zeros ticking to make sure that you know that Trisha from Nace is your secret admirer. Okay, she fucking loves you. To end this preachy rant, I actually do have to leave the chamber to go on a date with my girlfriend. But should that go badly, I will be back in time to conclude side off.
But on this occasion, and when I heard this particular motion, I knew I was highly qualified to speak on this. This coming November, I'm going to receive a piece of paper as evidence of my alleged proficiency in law and political science, but neither of those two subjects are truly what I've become the most educated in during my time here at Trinity. My credentials for this particular debate are in the past 4 years. I have maintained both the Hinge and the Tinder account. I have amassed approximately 82 talking stages from these apps. I've gone on 12 first dates, 8 third dates, 1 fifth date. I've had 9 Tinder bans and 0 boyfriends. So nobody really understands the ins and outs of these platforms quite like I seem to. Now look, at this stage you might be thinking, would it not be more beneficial to your post-college career prospects to maybe focus on torts rather than Tinder? But I genuinely do not think there is anything practical, well more practical, that I could have learned in lectures that I didn't learn on dating apps. And I truly mean that. The big law firms in Dublin, they'll always outline criteria that they look for among their applicants, and you know the job interview type questions where they're like, oh, tell us about a time you worked well on a team. You tell them something unbelievably vague about the time your untrained basketball team won the school final. But at the end of the day, these interviewers, they're real people and they don't really care about that crap. So, going forward, in the interest of being interesting, you should bear in mind all of the practical and world experience that you garner on dating apps and how it's completely transferable to all the skills sought by corporate law firms. The following 8 criteria are all outlined by leading Irish law firm A&L Goodbody on the recruitment section of their website. Number 1, resilience. Have you ever psyched yourself up to like the profile of somebody you already know? And they go radio silent, and your like is left sitting out there in the abyss. And it serves as a reminder of how fundamentally unlikable you are as a person. And then, when somebody mentions their name, your stomach drops to your boots, but you have to act unaffected. That's resilience. And when you bump into them the following week on Usher 2 and you have to pretend like you wouldn't rather get a root canal than acknowledge their existence going forward, that's resilience. And when their profile pops up about a week or 2 later and you've low-key learned nothing from your past mistakes, so you go and like it again. That's resilience. Number 2, reliability. My friends and I have talked about this on occasion, how it must be genuinely so comforting to the people who have come and gone from the apps over the years, that every time they return, they find us. We are a steadfast presence for these men that are riddled with personality red flags because they are still getting over their 93-year-old granny died in 2006. But we can still offer them this level of comfort through everything they're going through. They come and they're able to rely on us in their lives, and they're able to hit us with a boy on home, hey stranger. And ultimately, we've become a community on these platforms. And equally, to all the Reeses and all the Paddies and all the chronically last seen on Hinge people, so much reliability and consistency and stability throughout these college years. In a world that is ever changing, it is nice to have the reliability of the long-term dating app community. And equally, it's nice to be able to offer it back to them in return. Number 3, effective communication. Ultimately, Owen from Castleknock could have written in Soup I Know Not Why I Am So Sad, It Wearies Me, You Say It Wearies You. But Shakespeare could never have written Marina or Bull. There is a special command of the English language required to communicate with people on these platforms in order to convey your interest in taking them for a €5 pint and dating pills. This year I want to travel more. That usually does the trick. There are a lot of fabulous linguists in the world that would really struggle with responding in these situations, as they lack the same level of communication skills as those of us in the online dating community possess. Number 4, motivation. It hasn't come to fruition yet, but I can tell you all now, nothing has served as greater motivation for my moving out of Dublin as being on Hinge has. Number 5, initiative. For this one, I have a story time. So, at the beginning there I mentioned that I've been banned off Tinder once or twice. But after my first ban, I received a text from my roommate and she said, get back on Tinder. Straight away I just saw redacted on there. And naturally, I attempt to make accounts with personal information of everybody that I know to be already in a relationship, including but not limited to my parents. However, every time I would insert my name and my photos, I would just get banned again. So I figured the best way to overcome the ban would be to either change phones or move country. I had recently gotten a new phone, so I went on Erasmus. I was determined to make this work. I got a French phone number, I added a load of random accents to the 4 letters of my name, and I only used blurry photos of myself in order for the Tinder AI to not really realise that was me. This took a lot of initiative and perseverance, but ultimately I made it happen. That person ended up being in the same place as me for Erasmus, and we did match on Tinder over there. You know, I was a girlfriend. Number 6, ability to build relationships. Did you not hear me mention the person I went on 5 dates with? Case closed. 7, intellectual ability and judgment. Here you're dodging bullets the whole time on these things. There's actually these top-class analytical skills that have to come into play when you have to ultimately discern. Does Cian from Malahide, whose photos are 3 pictures of him in the club, vodka Red Bull spilt down his 11 degrees t-shirt, and the other 3 are him and his mates at a really ambiguously named festival that seems to be taking place in the woods, is he really spending his Sundays on the beach walking his dog? And equally, it can be taxing on your intellectual ability to discern if Ronan, who is currently 95 kilometres away, has no pictures of himself, just a couple of close-ups of the alloys on his car, and a photo of a dog that looks like he's been hit by the car. Is his main ambition really to delete this app? Yeah, I'd say so. The final criteria sunbathing on good buddies at the end of the interview, you'd like to express your commitment to career law, and if you've become as weathered in the dating app community as I have, you can explain to the recruiters how you now spend your mornings at your kitchen table taking am I asexual BuzzFeed quizzes. So there is rarely any hope of you ever marrying, let alone ever managing to marry for money. So unfortunately, you are going to have to make your own way in the world and can ultimately commit yourself to this career in law. So in light of all the practical and interpersonal skills that can be acquired on these platforms, I am ardently opposed to banning them, and should a motion arise concerning these dating apps banning us, I would like to be asked back. I'd like to thank the VA for that very quiet speech and call on Casper to close out the debate with side proposition. Hear, hear.
First of all, I'm sorry if I slur my words. I'm at bottom deep, so. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the University Philosophical Society, ladies and gentlemen. Most of you will know me from pouring you wine and yelling at you incessantly to go to afters every week. That is unless you're 20, however. Then you will know me from Grindr as 21 first, huh? yes, anyhow, despite finding myself on these apps, I am here to propose the motion that all of these should in fact be banned. Sorry. One of my gripes with this is the fact that they are, in fact, so fucking annoying. You find yourself looking through potential dates when suddenly you get hit by an ad for wooden IKEA chairs. Frankly myself, that's not the kind of wood that I'm looking for. Then there's the constant peddling of various deals and discounts on premium editions of the app. I don't know about you, but I'm not quite desperate enough to start paying for love just yet. However, all the sugar daddies and grinder might disagree with me here. And yes, despite all that, we find ourselves scrolling through profiles for seconds, minutes, and hours if you just down the app as much as I am. This gives me to the main point, which is that the crowding out of societal norms by dating apps, in this case, I'm negative. Whenever my friends ask me about ideas for their birthdays, I always suggest, in jest, hiring a community center, you know, and throwing a do. In jest, of course. Call me a country bumpkin, but I did grow up in Leitrim. You know, the slag between slag and Donegal. Where, for better or for worse, they deemed jiving and line dancing as lessons to be a crucial part of our education. It is incredibly sad that that less and less we see opportunities for people to find a connection. When two gazes meet, suddenly you find yourself swaying to the latest tune. Sorry, I'm just speech. Nowadays, you just tap on home XXL. Speaking of which, the way dating apps are designed just fuels a perpetual cycle of more and more as people are enticed to grasp your attention, you know. I'm on this specimen of characters, it's really common, you know. Therefore, as brief and inebriated as this speech is, if you hate unsolicited dick pics, it's just that you would, you know, vote with me. Please support this notion. Dating apps should be banned. Hey.
I obviously didn't do my research ahead of time because I didn't realise we were sharing personal anecdotes because I was busy fighting Fab Swingers to prove that Atlantic County is not to be for the 17th time this year. The most succinct response or argument from the opposition is that they want to ban dating apps because of their own inability to talk to people of the opposite gender. They want to punish us for their own shortcomings, which I'm sure don't end online. As someone whose work revolves around tackling gender-based violence, and someone who worked on the Online Safety Act, I've spent so much of my time advocating for better protections, especially for women. And that I do understand the concerns that lead to calls for banning dating apps. I mean, I've heard the horror stories, I've seen the screenshots in the group chat, and believe it or not, they don't end even on Christmas Day. But banning these platforms outright is not the solution. It's a knee-jerk reaction that would do more harm than good. Instead of banning dating apps, we should focus on education. A blanket ban ignores the complexity of modern dating, failing to address the underlying issues like consent and safety. I mean, apps exist to give people autonomy over their sex lives, dating lives, and they provide choice about who to meet. when to meet them, and under what circumstances. And for someone who has of mixed heritage, I know firsthand that traditional dating spaces don't always work for everyone. Dating apps allow people to seek safety in relationships on their own terms, which otherwise wouldn't be possible. And let's be honest, the idea that meeting somebody in real life is far more romantic is only a myth. You only have to look around at the people in your local pub to know, and that's why Tinder passports exist for a reason. The difference is, dating apps offer a level of control. They let women vet their potential matches and filter out the dog-hating short kings. Critics argue that dating apps pose safety risks, but the reality is that these platforms are evolving to meet those challenges. Dating apps now incorporate profile verification, though I'm yet to see evidence of that, because there are 7 of me currently floating around on Tinder. AI-driven moderation and location-based check-ins, and even panic buttons that allow users to alert emergency contacts if they felt unsafe on a date. So in comparison, if we ban dating apps, where does that leave us? No safety mechanisms, no reporting structures, and no oversight of how people meet. In fact, when we look at history, banning things does not eliminate any risks. It often makes them worse. If we think back to alcohol prohibition, banning alcohol didn't stop people drinking. The same way, it pushed things underground and made things more dangerous. Imagine if we banned dating apps. We risk pushing dating activities into unregulated, unsupervised orgies. That means no profile verification, and instead of an outright ban, the smarter approach would be to regulate and to educate. We also need to recognise that dating apps are not the root cause of harm. Harmful behaviours are, as we've seen demonstrated by members of the other side. Dating apps doesn't solve issues like sexual violence, and of course not. Like I said, we need better education on digital literacy and consent in healthy relationships, and how to spot the red flags how to spot real red flags, not just the ones we see on TikTok. By working with dating apps rather than against them, we can push for even stronger protections, collaboration between companies, lawmakers, police and community organisations. But also, on a more personal and serious note, I have many brand deals with many dating apps. So if you take away my income, it means that another subpar man will have to spend another weekend without a hot meal. So in closing, let's reject this black and white thinking. When voting, think about the planet. Think about the rate in which PLT girlies will have to order new outfits instead of reusing the same outfit on multiple men. Banning dating apps won't make things safer for men, especially not the ones who are already being rejected by their own hair. Thank you.
Or you side with the opposition and you shouldn't. So when I say all is in favor,